Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tech Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's David and I'll be your tech expert for the next 45 minutes to an hour whilst we talk about all things Olympus and OM, and you can ask all sorts of questions as well as listening to me waffle on about something that I've pre-prepared. And today's episode is about lenses. Now, the reason I chose lenses for today's show is because currently all over the world, depending on where you are, there is a great selection of offers on some of your favorite lenses. So you can save lots and lots of money if you had a lens in mind and you were waiting for it to come out at a great price. So take advantage of those offers whilst they're here. Now, I'm not going to talk about all those lenses because the list of lenses that are currently on promotion is huge. So I've selected 4 of those lenses to talk about today with you, as well as taking your questions on all sorts of other technical aspects of the cameras and lenses as well. Now, of course, like always, I need to double check that you can all hear me and see me well enough. So give me a wave, say hi, let me know who you are, where you're from, and if you've got any questions. And of course, like it says in the banner, pop them into the comments there, and I'll be able to dive in and answer as many questions as possible. Let me know if my sound is okay. Let me know if the audio is okay, and ring some alarm bells if anything crazy happens, because I'm here on my own. I'm pressing all the buttons. I don't have anybody else watching me. You are my eyes and ears, as always. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, let's have a quick look. And I will say some brief hellos as we go through. We're going to make it nice and quick tonight. So we've got Phil in Cornwall, Greg, Margaret, Chris, Jose, Derek, and Neil. Kenny, I'm only doing first names, and some of you have got like handles and stuff that I'm not going to shout out because normally I get them wrong anyway, and I say them wrong and I don't want to upset anybody. Karen, Doug, Morris, and from all over the world as well. Fantastic. It's great to see you. It's great to have you in, and it's so nice to see our beautiful global community, as well as some faces and names that are very familiar to me. We've got the Narrowband channel in. That's Ben. So say hi to Ben from the Narrowband channel. Go ahead and have a look at his stuff. He does some great night sky stuff. So keep an eye on him, and lots of other people as well. Annette Johansson is in. That's a name I know as well. Andy Gregory. Fantastic. So good to see all of you. Tech questions. That's the key to tonight's episode, or today's, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are. So get your questions in. Lots of people telling me that I'm loud and clear. So I'm going to take that as a just go ahead and we'll crack on and everybody can hear me. Okay. So lenses. We talk about lenses quite a lot on Tech Thursday. You know, we've done the macro focus. We've done the short range zoom focus as well. And today I thought that I would look at 4 lenses that I really enjoy using myself. And those lenses are going to be the 12-40 Pro lens, the Mark II version, although there is only a few small differences between the Mark I and the Mark II, other than age of that lens. We'll also look at the 12-100 f4 Pro lens and both varieties of 40-150 Pro lens, so both the f4 and the f2.8 version as well. So we'll have a little look at those. I'll give you the tech specs and all the stuff. We'll look at a couple of images. We'll answer any of your questions on them and see if any of them have got something that you guys need in your photography. So let's have a quick look at how we're going to do that. I'm doing something slightly different today, so hopefully it will work. Let's see. Oh, it did work. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so these are the 4 lenses. We're going to focus on these amazing Pro Zooms, and all of these are in a promotional thing at the moment, a promotion at the moment. So depending on where you are in the world, you'll be able to save some money on this. There's sort of 175-ish of your local currency, depending on what the conversions are. That's usually in pounds and dollars and euros, I think, but have a check on your local regional retailer sites and see how much you can get off these lenses. And these are the 4 that I've picked: 12-40, 12-100, and 40-150 f4 and 40-150 f2.8. Okay, so I'll have a little look. That's Susie Crow's already saying something that I'm going to say at the end of this. Couldn't live without the 40-150 f2.8. It is a marvelous lens. It is a fantastic piece of kit. And it's constantly in my kit bag, as well as the 12-40 as well. But the other 2 have also got something special about them as well. So let's have a little dip into what we've got here. Let's look at the first one. This is the 12 to 40. Now, I'm talking about the 12 to 40 Mark II. Most of the specification that we'll talk about does also apply to the Mark I, but the Mark II is an updated version that improves weather sealing to comply with the newest cameras. So the OM1 and the OM5, we're up to the IP53 weather seal ratings. Now, there is, I think, sort of 8 years nearly since the release of the first 12 to 40. So it was ready for a nice update just to bring it up to, build quality speed. It was always a very good build quality lens, but just to bring the IP rating up and a few tweaks here and there to get it running nicely with IP53. Everything else that we talk about will be very, very similar, if not the same, as the Mark I version. So, of course, we all know, or do we, that the 12 to 40 is a 24 to 80 millimeter equivalent on 35 millimeter. So you're getting that 24 to 80 equivalent crop range in that one, with a maximum aperture at its widest at f2.8. And that's a constant 2.8 as well. So wide open through the edge, 2.8, and you can go down to a minimum aperture, stop down, should you want to. You probably won't, to f22 if you need to. This is a beautifully built lens, 40 elements in 9 groups across these. And we'll talk about what's written here in terms of ED lenses, EDA lenses, HD and HR lenses. We've got a little bit at the end that I've talked about before, but I'm going to give us a little refresh at the end that just tells us what those lenses kind of do and what they're kind of, these shortened names are for. So 14 elements, 9 groups, 1 EDA lens, 2 aspherical lenses. I love the word aspherical. It's such a nice word. 1 DSA lens, 2 ED lenses, 1 HD and 2 HR lenses. Now, I'm not going to read out those lens elements for every single one of these. They will be on the screen there for you, but it's a bit of a tongue twister for me to keep saying it as well. There's lots of lens elements in these. One of the really key things about pro lenses, and this will come up for every single one, is the fact that they are exceptionally good at close focusing, so very short working distances. Now, when we refer to focusing distance, that's not working distance. So those are 2 separate things. So I'll say focusing distance, and what that means is the distance from the sensor plane or the focal plane inside your camera, which is denoted by a little symbol on the side of your EVF hump there, which is like a circle with a line through it. That tells you where the focal plane is for your sensor. And that's your focusing distance, not your working distance. So in this case, with the 12 to 40, its closest focusing distance is 0.2 meters, 20 centimeters. And that can be broken down to, I think it's approximately 9.4 centimeters working distance. And working distance relates to the distance from the front element of the lens to subject. Okay, so focusing distance from the focal plane, working distance from the front element of the lens. So really close, effectively, that's what we're saying, as they all are in comparison to their focal lengths. Now, interestingly, all of these lenses are a 7-blade circular aperture diaphragm setup. Okay, so they're all 7 blades in the selection that I've picked out today. We have a lovely filter size on this one of 62 millimeters. Quite a few of the lenses at the moment are a 62 millimeter filter thread or a 72, which means that you don't have to get too many different sizes of filters if you don't want to. And it weighs in at a paltry 382 grams. And obviously, this is one of the great things about the system. Micro Four Thirds in general, Olympus OM System stuff is designed to be super mobile, super lightweight, and this lens, giving you that 24 to 80 at f2.8, gets right in there in that lightweight kind of caliber. 382 grams for the lens. For the tech nerds amongst you, me being one of them, this is a little breakdown where you can see inside all those lenses there. You've got your EDA, DSA, HD, ED, HR, aspherical lenses, and it just gives you an idea of how many pieces of optical glass go into these lenses. You do also, on all of these lenses, have the zero coating. And you can see there's a little diagram at the bottom there with some lenses on it. And zero coating is effectively extra low reflection. What does that mean? Means exactly that. You don't want to get any reflection or refraction or ghosting or flaring from different light sources coming through the lens, and the zero coating is there to take that away. And MSC is something that we occasionally talk about as well. That relates to the movie and stills compatible mechanism inside. So it's silent focusing, which means you can use these lenses when filming video and you won't hear any focusing in the background. Okay. High resolution is a given for all of these pro lenses. And obviously all lenses work with the high resolution shooting mode, which is a fantastic computational mode within the cameras. And it's just an example. This image is just an example of what you can get from a pro lens, what it delivers to you when you use that high res shot with it. And this isn't just the 12 to 40. This is sort of across the board. And I just like to show this image off because it really does show how much we can get out of the high res when combined with a pro lens as well. We've touched on close focusing, and we've said the closest focusing here is 20 centimeters, and that's right across the zoom range. Okay, so from the wide end to the telephoto end, you're going to get a maximum magnification on telephoto of 0.6 times. So it's pretty good in terms of what we would say a macro performance, but it's technically a close-up performance, because as those macro purists out there, I can hear you all shouting at your screen saying it's not macro until it's 1:1 or greater. Yes, I know. But 0.6 times is pretty good close-up. And there we go, approximately 9.4 centimeters working distance. Again, remember that working distance is from the front element of the lens to the subject. And that varies slightly. When you go to telephoto, you get 6.6 centimeters working difference as well. And for each of these lenses, I've pulled in one of my favorite photos that's been taken by either one of the team or one of our ambassadors. And this, as many of you will know, will be one of my favorites. This is from Hannu Huhtamo, who is an amazing light painter. And one of our fantastic ambassadors. And this is from his video that went viral of him creating these swans on the lake with live composite, but using the 12 to 40 lens as well. And this was just shot at ½ a second live composite intervals. And it's an absolutely beautiful shot. One of my absolute favorites. He's done some stuff around volcanoes as well, but this one was always stand out for me because I was a big fan of the viral video where we get to see him making it. So that's an absolutely fantastic image from Hannu. Now, that's your 12 to 40 lens. Before I go on to the next lens, I'm just going to dip in to these comments. So you have to bear with me whilst I have a quick scan through, because I don't have anybody with me to go, hey, David, here's a question, throw it up. So I'm going to go through and try and pick some. We do have the amazing back of house social media elves for OM System sitting in there. So I'll give them guys a wave as well. Let's see if we can pick out a good question. Corey said that your current interested lenses, I'm assuming sort of your bucket list, your wish list lenses, Corey, are the 300mm f4, the 12mm f2. Ooh, that is it's a very nice, underrated, and not often talked about lens, the 12mm f2. I love that lens. It's fantastic. It's really great for night stuff as well. And both 40-150 Pros will hopefully, if that's something that you're interested in, Corey, what we talk about in a little while with the 40-150s will be good for you. Now, I know that you all really appreciate the things that we do here on YouTube and on Facebook and things like that. But I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline a request for what I think is for me to say hello from. And this is a place name, because I'm completely incapable of reading all that out, if it even is a real place. But thanks for the effort in there, for throwing that my way. Fantastic stuff. Ben at the Narrowband channel. Hi, Ben. Thanks for coming in. Let's have a look. With the 12 to 40, with the 12 to 100 f4 Pro, if you turn off IS on the lens, does it also turn it off on the camera body? Yes, it does, actually. Because with the lenses that are capable of sync IS, which is something that we'll sort of tiptoe around when we talk about the 12 to 100, a sync IS lens communicates with the body directly 100%, and those IS systems join up to create something magnificent. So if you switch it off on the lens barrel, then it is off everywhere. And that should be used as a really, really quick way to go to a tripod if you need to turn your IS off, because we do recommend IS off on a tripod, and it's a great way to do that. So yes, Ben, the lens switch does turn it off in camera and body at the same time. Okay, so Peter is in Indiana. Hey, Peter, do we have any idea on a release date for the 90mm macro? No, but oh my goodness, when we do, and I can tell you I'll be right here shouting very loudly about it because I cannot wait. So stay tuned. We will bring you more information on that soon. Let's have a quick look at Derek saying the 12-40 is a go-to lens. Fantastic stuff. Let's have a look. Right, here we go. I think this is a good question, and I've literally just scanned it. So let's see if I can answer this question here from Jerry. Do the 4-5, I'm going to assume 4/3, do the micro 4/3 lenses transmit less light than a full frame, i.e., at f5.6, is there less light using a 25mm Olympus lens versus a 50mm Canon or Nikon full frames lens at f5.6? No, it's the same. Fantastically, it is the same. And that's one of the really good benefits. If you have an f2.8 lens or an f4 lens, then f2.8 and f4, it's a light gathering unit. Okay, that's what you're getting on all lenses. It's always going to be f2.8. The difference comes when we convert it into understanding things like depth of field. So f2.8 would create a similar depth of field in view to an f5.6 on a 35mm lens. But for light gathering, no, Joe, it's all the same. All the same. It's a great question. Okay. Let's go and have a look at the 12-100, and we'll come back to some more questions in here as well. I know that our social media elves are helping me out, chatting to you guys in there as well. So let's go back and let's do it this way. It's better if my face is small and the presentation's big, rather than the other way around. And let's turn this banner off, because that's making my eyes itch, going backwards and forwards. Okay, there's Hanu's beautiful image of the swans. Let's talk about the 12-100. Oh my God, the 12-100 is such an amazingly versatile lens. If you are going to go away, you're going to go traveling, you're going to go on holiday, you're going to just go on a small adventure, and you absolutely say to yourself, and you're a very strong-willed person if you do this, because I can't do it, but if you say to yourself, I'm only going to take one lens, the 12-100 is such a flexible lens. It's giving you the 12mm equivalent of 24 crop on there to 100 equivalent of 200. Lovely range for shooting things like street, little bit of landscape, all the way through to people watching on portraiture, and you can get to a nice 200mm crop equivalent end as well. And it's just one lens. It's nice, it's good, it's packed, ready to go. You got an f4 constant all the way through, so it's a maximum aperture of f4, and if you wanted to dilly-dally down to f22, then you absolutely could do. Don't do it. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs f22, except for very rare occasions when you really got to stop all the light. 17 elements in this lens, 17 in 11 groups, with the closest focusing distance of 0.15 meters. Remember, that's from the sensor plane, so 15 centimeters focusing distance. Again, 7 blades, circular diaphragms. That's what gives you the nice bokeh balls when you've got out of focus light sources in the background. It's nice and circular. This is a 72mm filter size, so it's another one of the most common filter sizes within the pro range. It's either 62 or 72, generally speaking, and it's 561 grams, so a little over half a kilo. Add that onto your just under half a kilo camera, and you've got yourself a 1 kilogram perfect travel companion as well. Popping it onto an OM5 is going to get you, 3/4 of a kilo. Away you go. That's a fantastic travel combination. So you've got your constant f4. This is, like as we were saying, because Ben asked the question, does the IS switch deactivate the IS through body and camera at the same time with the 12-100? Yes, it does. This is compatible with 5-axis sync IS, which means you're getting 5 axis from the body and you're getting 2 axis from the lens. So in the lens, you get your pitch, and back in the body, you're also getting your pitch, roll, X and Y movement. And that's all combined to give you the top level amount of stops. So if you're talking about an OM1, then we're looking at 8 stops of stabilization. You've got the zero coating on there, extra low reflection coating to stop any ghosting or flares, amongst other things as well. We've got fluoride coatings on there to prevent any water from sticking to the front of the lens. And you've got your movie and stills compatible mechanism, which is your really quiet AF for video. So again, generally speaking, you've got this really wonderfully flexible focal range, not only for stills photography, but also for video, with magnificent amounts of amazing amounts of image stabilization. I should probably stop trying to use big words when I'm live on YouTube because I generally get it wrong. But let's see how we go on. 1.5 centimeter working distance. This is a ridiculously close working distance. Remember, working distance is the distance from the front element of the lens, not from the center. 1.5 centimeters. It's super, super close. 15 centimeters from that focal plane. It means you can take ridiculously close-up images of very, very small things. So if you weren't one for the macro lens, or you touched on very close-up, almost macro photography sometimes, but not enough to warrant buying yourself one of the macro lenses, the pro lenses are really going to give you that extra helping hand when it comes to close-up stuff. And this is one of those lenses that has that on-lens functionality as well. So you've got your manual focus, your manual focus clutch. It's a focus clutch, I promise you. You've got a manual focus clutch, which is present on 95% of the pro lenses. And I say 95% of the pro lenses because some of the more recent f4 range have had the manual focus clutch left off them in order to maintain the sort of lightness of the lens and keep it to a small size. But the 12-100 does have that manual focus clutch. Now, as many of you will have found out, you're not in the gang unless you've picked up your camera and tried to autofocus and then wondered very, very hard for many minutes as to why it won't do it. And it's actually because the manual focus clutch has been pulled back into the manual focus position. You can deactivate that in the menu of your camera, of course, but it's a super, super useful way to go straight to manual focus and then back to autofocus. Hands up in the comments, say hi, go, yes, me, I did it. If you have been one of those people that has gone, what is going on with my camera? Why won't it focus? And then you've gone, oh yeah, it's the manual focus clutch. Pop it in the comments. I want to see how many people have done that. Out of the 336 of you that are watching now, I'm going to say 335 have done it. And the one person that didn't do it is the one person that's not yet using the system. So you've got your clutch. You've then got your IS switch, which we've talked about thanks to Ben's question. And then you've now got the introduction of an LFN button. That stands for lens focus. Sorry, lens. I'm laughing because I can see all these people going, me, yeah, me. And my comments have just gone crazy for people using the clutch. Lens function button. So that's a programmable button that you can use to pretty much put one of a whole host of different functions on. It comes to you straight out of the box. By default in your camera, it'll be set to AF stop, which means that you can stop the lens from focusing, but you can make it anything that you like. Let's see how many yeses we got on that focus. Got loads and loads and loads. My namesake, David Smith. Yes, you did. Michael, Joshua, Margot, Lacey, Chris, Terry, Mike, Tom, Trish, Jim Harper. Yes, Jim. You know what I'm talking about. We're well aware of that. Michelle, JT, Peter, tons of you. Thumbs ups. Yeses. Fantastic. And it's great that we can have a giggle about it because it is such a cool function. It's just one of those things that kind of happens, but you wouldn't have it any other way, right? Okay, let's go back. Let's be serious now about this lens. Let's stop being silly. Look at this beautiful, beautiful image taken on the 12-100 by the amazing Joe Hanley. What a fantastic sunset. Beautiful animals, beautiful reflection. Gorgeous. I love this kind of stuff. we have a guest slot for a photograph on the very last lens as well. So I hope she's watching. Okay. Right, let's come back here into the comments. Let's see. Oh, this one's great. Erin. Hello, Erin Wilson. Erin says, I own several pro lenses. I purchased the 12 to 200 lens as a one travel lens. Should I expect softer results from the 12 to 200 than the pro lenses? I'm spoiled with the pro lens sharpness. Do you know what? The 12 to 200 is a magnificent, and again, another underrated lens. What you are missing from getting a 12 to 200 rather than a pro is that constant aperture, that faster constant aperture. The 12 to 200 is an amazing lens. It's weather sealed, so you're not losing that from it. Optical quality is fantastic. It's not pro grade. There obviously is a difference, and the glass is graded in slightly different ways. And of course, that's how these lenses work in different price ranges and different functionality. But I would say don't expect to see dramatically softer images from a 12 to 200. I think it's going to do you very well in terms of being a fantastic travel lens. You just have that variable aperture. So as you go through the range from 12 to 200, your aperture is going to want to stop down more than a pro lens would. I think you're going to enjoy it a lot, Erin. Great question. Sorry, but I've got a bit of a glitch there. If anyone's seeing any lag, I just had some lag on this side, so I do apologize for that. Right, let's have a little look. Badgerag says, I struggle taking the lens cap off. I struggle keeping them on. I'm so fumbly in my bag, and I pull them out. The lens caps have gone everywhere. I'm terrible with lens caps. Okay. Lots of people still saying yes. There is lots of manual focus clutch issues. This one is a good one. Sean, this is a great question, Sean, because what you're asking is there a downside to using the teleconverter? Probably better to confirm which teleconverter we're talking about, because you've got the capability in all of the cameras to use the in-body digital teleconverter, which is a digital crop. It's the image is being stretched out 2 times in. Or you do, of course, have the physical teleconverters that can be used with the 300 f4 or the 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro lens, and the 150 to 400 f4.5 Pro lens as well. Wowzers of a lens. Now, when you add anything, whether it's to the front of your lens, like a filter, or in some cases macro converters that you can on the smaller lenses, or whether it's to the back of the lens in terms of teleconverters, what you're doing is you're introducing another piece of glass, which potentially can result in some refraction. Now, the Pro lenses are really well graded to try and reduce the impact that has, but it's perfectly natural. That's physics. And, physics is a wonderful thing. You just can't change the rules of it. So we can't even bend them. We can't even say, oh, you know what? It's your birthday. We'll stop that little bit of refraction just for one day. We kind of have to deal with that. But some lenses and some converters are better at receiving that refraction or diffraction than others. So mostly, if you're using something like the physical 2 times converter with a 40 to 150, you'll get very, very good results. You would use then the 1.4 times with the 300 millimeter, just because it's a fixed prime and that little bit of an extra works better on that lens. But if you're using the digital teleconverter in body, you got to remember you're getting a JPEG from that. That's obviously not a raw file, and it's a digital stretch. So it's the same. It's marginally better than if you had cropped into your raw file in post edit. So hopefully that explains it a little bit for you, Sean. We'll do one more question before going back to the lenses. Bob's been clutched. I love that. I love that phrase, Bob. I might have to borrow that with your permission. Have you ever been clutched? I love it. And again, a common one, Arndt from Germany thought the 12 to 100 was defective and went back to the shop, and they go, there you go. It's as simple as that. And we all feel a bit silly. I've done it. I did it right at the start with the 12 to 40, because that was the first lens, the first Pro lens that came out with the clutch. Pro lens. And all of you are going to shout at me, go, wait a minute, David, the 17 f1.8 and the 12 mm f2, they had clutches as well. Yeah, they did. But they're not as easy to trigger. Okay, let's see. I think, you know what, lots of you are just having really good experiences. We've got Ken. Hi, Ken. Just got the 9mm f8 fisheye, the 9mm. Oh, the body cap. Backing from testing and very impressed with the quality. Fantastic stuff. It's a great little lens, that one. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Newer. The 12-50. Oh, glorious, legendary lens. Yeah. One of the gods of kit lenses, the 12-50, which sadly we don't make anymore. It's a discontinued product, but that had a clutch on it. Yeah, clutch and electronic zoom, as I remember, and a manual, a macro setting as well. What a brilliant all-round lens! Fantastic. And let's have a look. Brendan, great question. The 1.4 and the 2x converters work at the moment. The lenses that we have that they will work on are the 40-150 f2.8. the 300mm f4 and the 150-400 kind of f4.5 Pro ultimate, god level lens. That they will take the converters at the moment. So not the 12-40 and not the 12-100 and not the 40-150 f4. You've got to be very careful about that one. Let's see. Oh, yes. Do you know what, Annette? I'm going to come back. And I'm going to deal with this right now, actually. Annette asked me a question earlier on social, and I said, let's throw it into tonight's live so that everybody can benefit from this. And it was people asking about the differences on the OM1 within an autofocus menu, which is basically the difference between displaying on 1 or on 2. So let me just to give you an idea. Let's see. Here we go. This is my OM1. Let's just pop Annette's question down so we can see the full screen. Let's go into the menu. And in the menu, over in the AF green tab, and in page 2, you have this option here for AF area pointer. Now, realistically, you've got 3 options. You have off, which means that it doesn't display a frame. When it refers to frame, it means the green AF lock confirmation box. So when you halfway press and it locks focus, it either flashes green to say, yeah, I've locked, and that would be using on 1, or if you select on 2, it flashes green and remains green when it's locked. Okay, so it will be permanently green unless it loses focus, in which case the green comes off. So that's the difference between on 1 and on 2, Annette, is that on 1, your AF confirmation lock will flash green on whatever your chosen AF field is. And on 2, it will flash green and stay green whilst it's locked in focus. The other functionality of on 2 is when using continual autofocus with on 2 and any grid, so more than one AF point, you'll get the cluster tracking, which shifts around looking for shapes and moves with the movement of the subject. And you can only get that through on 2. It's a really fantastic kind of little feature that doesn't get talked about a lot. So yeah, and I know that somebody asked you that question, Annette, so if they're not watching, hopefully you can pass on that information. On 1 for a quick flash of AF lock, and on 2 for a flash and lock on as long as it is locked. Good, excellent, great question. Okay, let me find where I was in the comments, and let's go back to Manuel's teasing in the comments. I'm not even going to read it out. Let's go back to, oh, did it again. I'm pressing the wrong button lots tonight. Let's move on from Joe's fantastic images of the mummy elephant and the baby elephant. Let's go to the 40-150 f4. And this is quite a recent lens in the Pro range, and this was an addition to it was the mid addition to the f4 Trinity, I suppose. We released the 12-45 f4, which is a teeny tiny f4 Pro lens based principally on the 12-40, but at an f4, and it's much, much smaller. We then also brought out the 8-25 f4 and the 40-150 f4. So we have this collection of f4 lenses now, super travel lenses. That's the whole thing about these f4 ranges. They're there for travel, so they're super light. No manual focus clutch on this lens. No, it doesn't take the converter. And that's to maintain the size and the weight. Okay, so you've got your 40-150 f4. It can be f4 constant all the way through, which is an 80-300 millimeter if we're talking about 35mm crop. Maximum aperture f4, an f/22 minimum, as always. I say as always, but the f/1.2 range of lenses does not stop down as far as f/22. They stop down as far as f/16. 15 elements in 9 groups with the closest focusing distance of 0.7 of a meter, so 70 centimeters. Again, 7 blades in that beautiful circular aperture pattern. 62 millimeter filter size. So again, you can share filters between this one and the 12 to 40 lens and many others. And a paltry 382 kilos. Not kilos, not 300. It's not 382 kilos, because if it was, we'd be out of business. It's 382 grams. It's been a very long day. I'm not going to lie. I apologize. I hope you're all having a good giggle at my expense for getting some of these things wrong. 382 grams. And it is still, from release until now, is the world's most compact, lightweight zoom lens with pro high resolution quality. Okay, so the quality and grading of this lens is the world's only at this size and weight. You can see there that gives you an example of exactly how good this glass is. It's a super, super lightweight lens, really, really nice to use. Beautiful construction in there. HR lens, super ED, and an aspherical lens as well. And like I say, we come back to all these pro features being really nice, super close focusing. I mean, there's one of the reasons why we do so much talk about macro and about close-up photography is because the lenses are so capable. It's 70 centimeters across the entire zoom range. And remember, closest focusing distance from the sensor plane. Okay, so that's going to change as you zoom in and out and that lens trumpets. That working distance will change ever so slightly. You get a maximum image magnification of 0.41 times. So really, really beautiful close-up images as well. And this is a wonderful image by Frank Ruckert. If you've not seen Frank's stuff, have a look for him online. Some really beautiful butterflies and insects and things like that. Some absolutely fantastic photography. And this is with the 4150 f4 at a 30th of a second. How brilliant is that? Fantastic image, fantastic lens. Right, before we go into the final lens, let's have a quick look on the, oh, Sean, you're right. Hey, look, how did I miss this out? I told you it's been a long day. The converter also fits on the 100 to 400. How could I possibly forget about that? Brilliant lens. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. I know you were looking out for me. Okay, let's see. Oh, good question from Terry. Which lenses support all of the advanced functions such as pro capture, high res, and focus bracketing, etc.? So all of the lenses are compatible with pro capture. All of the lenses are compatible with high res, and all of the lenses are compatible with focus bracketing, but not all of them are compatible with focus stacking. So most, if not all, I mean, just counting up in my head, of the pro lenses, with the exception of the 1.2s, the 1.2 primes, will do focus stacking in camera. Okay, so you can do that, but the 1.2 primes and perhaps the 45 or the 25, I can't quite remember now, was capable, but most of the pros do focus stacking in camera. Of course, the 2 macro lenses as well, but you can do pro capture on any of these lenses. You may find that there's a restriction in aperture on some of them to perhaps f8, because if it's not as fast at focusing, it'll restrict the aperture to maintain the quality of pro capture as a function, but you can pretty much use all of them for that one. What would be the best lens for astrophotography? Wow, I don't know. I think we've got a couple of astro people in tonight, Ben included. Out of the ones that I'm talking about, yeah, for sure, the 12 to 40 you could use. 12 millimeter f2, 17 millimeter 1.2 and 1.8. Ben, if he's still in, might jump into the comments and give his opinion, because this is Ben's area at the narrowband channel. That'd be great if you could do that, Ben. But lots of them would be useful for astrophotography. They're the best. Not as an astrophotographer, I feel like it's probably not my place to say the best, but we have got astrophotographers in who will probably get an opinion on that, Kathy. So we'll come back and see what they say. The Macroverse. Hello, the Macroverse. Fantastic stuff. But you're excited for a 90 millimeter macro. You miss your 100 to 400 because it's out for repair. Oh, well, hopefully that gets turned around quickly for you. And always good to see messages like this from Kathy, where other system users are impressed by things from us. So good stuff. Let's have a look. Paulie, can we expand on the digital extension? How do you set it up in camera? Yeah, so I can show you on 2 cameras. It's really nice and easy, actually. You got to remember that if you are shooting RAW, the resulting image is going to be a JPEG, okay, because it's just a digital crop. So let's go ahead and go over to this camera here. Let me pop your question down, Pauline. So we'll have a look at the digital 2x converter in the menu. Well, let's go ahead and go back to shooting menu number 1. Oh, no. We are now in, I think we're in the shooting menu number 2, which is your computational modes. And then in page 2, this is OM1, by the way. I'll show you in an OMD in a second. On OM1, you're in there, shooting menu number 2, page 2, digital teleconverter, just simple switch on or off. And when you've switched it on and you're on your live view, you'll see at the top left corner underneath your battery, it says 2x. And that's telling you that you've got a 2x converter. And what you'll also notice is that your whatever AF field you were using is now bigger because it's stretched that as well, because it's cropping in. Okay, so look at the size of that. And if I go back into the menu and switch it off and look at the size of it now, that's also affected. So your AF field is affected in terms of digital teleconverter as well. You can hotkey a button. So in the OM1, you could go into the menu. You could go ahead down to the gear option, into the button settings. There's a quicker way for this. I'll show you in a second. Go into button function. These are all your button functions that you can program. If you want to do the quick way, you would go from the super control panel, which is press OK from a live view, and then go over to this key here, which is the button function icon. And it takes you straight into there anyway. So you could find any one of these buttons that you like. Here we go. That's a good one, AF on or the record button and things like that. Just find the button that you want to program for that digital 2x teleconverter. And there you go. Just scroll down until you find the 2x magnifying glass and you can press OK. And then when you're in there, you literally press that button once and it's in 2x. Press it again and you can see my little gray edges there. In fact, you might not be able to see that because of the way that the live streams work. So I'll tell you what I'm going to quickly do. I will very, very quickly change the color of that. So let's go in here and let's make this a little bit easier for you all to see at home by changing the color of my grid. Ta-da! And if you need to see how I did that, you'll be going back on the recording later on. There we go. So you can now see that my AF field corners are red because I've got 2x teleconverter on. It's bigger. And then it's smaller, and then it's bigger. And this is just me pressing the button, toggling digital 2x teleconverter on and off. Let's see if we can try that here with our little friend. Converter on, converter off, converter on, converter off. That's how simple it is, Kathy. Just remember, it's creating a JPEG. Great question. I love that. And we threw in a little bit of grid color change as well. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back to, is he going to press the right button? Yes. Amazing. Almost at the end. Oh, actually, before you all shout at me, let's go back to this, because I was then going to show you how to get to the digital teleconverter on an OMD. I don't want to tell you that I'm going to do something and then not do it. So let's switch on this OMD. And in the OMD, you're going to press menu. And then in shooting menu number 1 on the far left here, you just go straight in and down to digital teleconverter, and you can just switch it on there. And then, of course, when that's on in your live view, right up at the top in the middle, you see a magnifying glass that says ×2 to tell you that it's on. And if you wanted to program a button for this one, you could just press OK in your super control panel, go down to the gear cog icon there in the bottom corner, press OK, and then again, same thing, find any button that you want to program, and then find your digital teleconverter there in the settings, and press OK to lock it in, so that when you're on your live view, you're just pressing that button once, on, and off. Nice and easy. I think it's nice and easy anyway. If it's not, you let me know, and we'll try and make it as easy as possible. Okay. I nearly pressed the wrong button again. Then let's go. Yeah, the right one. Fantastic. There's Frank's shot of that butterfly. Beautiful butterfly. Okay, let's move on. Time runs away so quickly with me in this hour. So I have to make sure that I get everything for you. Let's talk about the 40-150 f2.8 Pro lens. This is a magnificent lens. I mean, we were talking at the beginning. It's one of those absolutely fantastic lenses. Super flexible, super fast, beautiful results. Great for mid-range wildlife, portraiture, you name it. It's really, really good. So it's an equivalent of 80-300 on a 35mm crop. It's a maximum aperture of f2.8, so nice and wide, 16 elements in 10 groups with the closest focusing distance, again, like the 40-150 f4, 0.7 meters. 7-blade circular aperture system, 72mm filter size. So this is going to be the same filter size as a 12-100, and 760 grams. So one of the heavier ones, but in comparison to its equivalent in a 35mm system, very, very light indeed. Very, very light. And this forms what was this sort of initial trinity of f2 lenses, with the 7-14 f2.8, the 12-40 f2.8, and then the 40-150 f2.8. This was that collection of beautifully fast aperture lenses, highly portable, maximum brightness, and excellent close-up capabilities as well, covering that range of all the way back from an equivalent 14mm all the way up to 300. Now, this has got something called a dual VCM focusing system. VCM stands for voice coil motor, and it's a very similar process as to what goes on within the image stabilization system that also has a VCM in it as well. And it's moving 2 lens groups simultaneously with 2 linear motors. And all this is internal zoom as well. So that's great focusing speed, as well as close-up shooting performance being enhanced because of the way that that system works. And of course, all of the lenses that we talked about, because they're part of the Pro range, at 12-40, 12-100, and both 40-150s carry the professional level dust splash and freeze proof performance. So they are all weather sealed, matched with your weather sealed body, which could be an EM1 series camera from the OMDs, an OM1, an EM5 Mark II from the OMD series, or an OM5, which is out now and IP53 rated for weather sealing as well. And this is a brilliant image from the 40-150 by our very own Claire Voyle, who I think was on Wilderness Safari when she took this image. She has no idea that I've put it into tonight. So if she's not watching, somebody can somebody in the team could text Claire and just tell her that her image is on here. The longer I leave it on here, the more I have to pay her. So I'll leave it on for quite a while. No, joking. We don't pay Claire for any of her pictures. She pays us. But this is a beautiful image from Claire. And on that 40-150 2.8, it just gives you such beautiful clarity on things like this. And this is perfect, you know, for texture and a wonderful image like this one. So I'll come back to some more questions in the comments. Just wanted to quickly touch on what those lens elements were in terms of their names. You know, so we have things like the DSA, which is the dual super aspherical lens, and what that is that it's a curved element, but it's thinner in the middle, and it's designed to reduce things like chromatic aberration and things like that. It gives you really, really high performance. It gives you more than what you can get from just a single super aspherical lens. Really thin in the middle and wider at the edges. And then you've got an EDA lens, which is an extra low dispersion aspherical lens. I mean, if you can kind of work out what they're doing, extra low dispersion is there to stop diffraction when light waves are split up into different colors and things like that. That's the easy kind of way to describe it. And then you have your super high refractive index lens. Super high refractive index lens basically maximizes the amount of light transmission and reduces any refraction or diffraction that would potentially cause softness. So you get that nice edge-to-edge sharpness as well. And there are loads more of those kind of crazy lens explanations as well. And if you're really into them, then you can go across to the webpage and have a look at the specifications and feature set of any of our lenses, and you'll get all of the beautiful, lovely nerd stuff that we all love. Well, me anyway. There you go. Those are your kind of specifications on 4 of my favorite lenses that are in the current promotions. You know, if you were thinking about it and you wanted to save a few pennies, then now is a perfect time to do that on those lenses. Let's have a quick look in the comments. I've got a few minutes left of the live. As always, it goes very, very quickly. I appreciate 346 of you. More have joined, and thanks for sticking with it. It's I hope you're enjoying it. Let's talk to, let me see. Ralph said, what was that about the 12 to 100? I mean, I did a whole piece on it. So you're going to give me a little bit more and I'll try and explain a bit more about what you want to know about the 12 to 100. Polarized. Hey, polarized. That's a cool frog. Toad. Maybe it's a toad. I don't want to offend any toad or frog people, but I think that's a toad maybe. Focus peaking working on manual lenses without setting it on a button like Panasonic. I'm not sure if that's the question though, polarized, because if you're using a manual lens or a legacy lens or a lens baby or something like that, yes, you do need to apply focus peaking to a button. That is the way to do it. Michael, cluster tracking is fantastic. It is great. Where were we the other day? Oh, the lovely Claire Voyle and I went to a wildfowl lake, and we were shooting some birds and things like that. Photographically speaking, obviously, we were using cluster tracking with the birds in the sky. Yeah, it is an amazing feature. We do try and shout about it, but you're probably right. Probably don't shout about it enough. Incidentally as well, this is a really, really ideal opportunity for me. Now, there's over 300 of you in here. If you have the opportunity, the capability to drop a comment, as many as you do, then please give me some suggestions on things that you would like covered in like future Tech Thursdays. Remember that Tech Thursdays really, you know, kind of all the hardcore tech stuff where we answer all the nitty-gritty questions and we kind of get down into the nerdy guts of things. But if you've got a suggestion of what kind of topic you'd like covered, if it's something that I can expand on and make part of a whole show, then I will write all those ideas down, steal them, make them my own, and then bring them to you, hopefully, in a Tech Thursday. So just pop them in the comments and hopefully we'll be able to make that happen. Okay, what else have we got? Dave has the that's a cute puppy as well. Dave K has the 8-25. That's a magnificent lens. 12 to 100, 100 to 400, some primes. You think you're covered? I think you are. I think you've got a great selection there, Dave. And an amazing puppy as well. I love that. Let's see. Should we say it? 382 kilograms. That'd be, well, yeah, it'd be somebody else, wouldn't it? It'd be something else. Let's see in here. Oh, excellent. Ben's come back. We were talking about astrophotography, and somebody asked what was the best astro lens. And Ben at the Narrowband channel, obviously, this is kind of his forte. This is the thing that he does the most of. And Ben's favorite, he said, is the 75mm f1.8, which I wouldn't have guessed. But then I suppose as well, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're looking at sort of real deep space stuff, then you're going to have a telephoto on a 300mm f4 Pro with a greater setup, I think, is something that I've heard you talk about before. But there you go. That's an answer for you there. Let's see. Somebody else, Mike, talking about Astro. That's all right, Mike. Don't worry. We live in a Micro Four Thirds community. Mike's go-to Astro lens is the Panileica f2.8 8-18. Sorry, OMDS. That's okay, Mike. Don't worry about it. We can all have favorite lenses. And let's see what else we've got in here. Yeah, Terry's saying digital zoom is also on the Pen F. That's right. It's on all of the Pen cameras as well. And from what it sounds like, somebody has, yeah, David's probably not this on the head. You might have a little hot pixel on an OM1, and that's what pixel mapping is for. Great advice, David. Fantastic stuff. Okay. So, Doug, do you know what? I'm not sure. Doug's asked the question if digital teleconverter works with Pro Capture. So I think what we want to do is I'm going to turn my camera on now. It's got the 2x converter switched on, and I'm then going to go ahead and try and switch on Pro Capture. And yes, it does. The answer to that, Doug, is yes. Digital in-camera teleconverter works with Pro Capture. Mike wants to know how you do firmware updates for OM lenses. Well, Mike, you download the OM workspace software, which is free. Recently updated as well, by the way. Anybody, if you haven't had the update for OM Workspace, then you should update that. It's got supporting for OM5, and it's been jiggery pokery a little bit, so give it a go, update your software. But OM Workspace, Mike, is the one that you're going to want to download firmware updates, and then you will do that by plugging your camera body into your computer, running the firmware update, and it will tell you where you are on the lenses as well. And there is also a joint update service if you want to know what updates are about for your camera. Just Google joint update service Olympus, and you'll be taken to a page which will show you all the firmware updates for camera bodies and lenses. Thanks, Mike. I can't read some of these comments out tonight. Crikey, we are all having fun. What an amazing lot you are. Yes, Margot, I'm referencing you because I'll say it anyway. So, look, Margot said we have a big group of girls. We have a group of girls that shoot Olympus, and we've nicknamed the 40-150 as Big Sexy. I mean, I'm speechless. Margot, that's brilliant. Okay, so let's see. 60mm macro, always tuned into a 60mm macro. That's your gear list. Fantastic stuff. And Mike saying thanks. I don't know why I clicked on that one, but thanks, Chris, from Mike. Okay. I can't answer all your questions right now, but I will do my very best to come back in and answer some of the questions that I may have missed. I have to kind of like scan through so that it keeps this going. And sometimes it sounds like I'm just jabbering on, but in fact, that's exactly what I'm doing whilst I try and scan through these questions and talk to you all. But ultimately, I wanted to say thank you for joining me again. I hope it's been useful. I hope that you've learned something. Don't forget to put in the comments the kind of suggestions of what you want Tech Thursday to cover in the future, because that's really, really helpful to me so that I can go off and write things and bring stuff to you that is what you want, you know, and that's effectively what we're here for. There's loads of stuff going on over the next sort of few weeks and months. So if you don't already know, go across to the OM System events page. We've got online events. There are some in-person events going on around the world as well. Personally, I'm out doing some first hands-on events with the OM5 in the UK, so have a look at those. If you're around, come and see me if you're in the UK tomorrow. If you're anywhere near Worcester tomorrow in the UK, I'll be at London Camera Exchange in Worcester, so come and say hi, have a chat with me. We'll have a coffee together. But for now, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again on another one very, very soon. So take care, and bye-bye.